Noswaith dda, good evening and welcome back to another, this is a special episode, I have to say, of the NFL Cymru Podcast with myself, Dyfed Gitar, and we also have a third party this evening. Please give a warm welcome to our special guest, Christie Thomas. Christie, Noswaith dda, how are you? Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, pleasure, absolute pleasure. Me and Gitar, we've been doing this pod now for, what do you reckon, Gitar? Just over 2 months?
We've done over 2 months, I think.
Yeah, I reckon.
It's been really quick, hasn't it, David? It's gone really fast for us so far.
Yeah, it has, isn't it?
Time flies when you have fun.
Always a pleasure. And we came across, because Git obviously is all over the socials, Christie, and we came across you and your name is AllAboutBucs on Twitter, or X as we call it these days. And my first question, obviously, the reason, like we were saying just now, the reason that we launched this pod really is to try and gain as many new NFL fans based here in Wales, because that's what we found out on our journey so far, is there are so many fans that we actually don't know about. So we're just trying to promote it as much as we can. And like I said before, Zamit is kind of our flag bearer over in the United States. So yeah, exactly. So we're hopefully we're on the doorstep of something really, really special. So the more fans that we can meet, that we can hopefully greet as well, and we can encourage new fans as well. So Christie, I was just going to say, my first question for you is, tell us about how you got involved with, first of all, just the world of the NFL. How did a girl from Swansea all of a sudden become a flag bearer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? That sounds so cool.
I know, it's so weird, isn't it? Well, honestly, it was just going back like 5-6 years ago, I'd say. And I just remember I was watching like Red Zone with someone, and I was just like, I have no idea what's going on here. And they would watch it every Sunday, and I was just like, oh, I'm just going to watch YouTube, I'm going to watch all these vlogs and whatever. Until like one Sunday I was just like, right, I'm going to sit down and you're going to explain it to me about what's going on, so I could actually like just get into it and have like an NFL Sunday. And I remember watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I've gone to Florida for as long as like I can remember. That was always like our family holiday and everything when I was younger, and I never realised how, like, because obviously I never explored the NFL world, so like I never realised how close it was to Orlando. So I was just like, I was looking more into it and everything like that, and then obviously just so happens that Tom Brady is then the quarterback going into that season. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, we're winning. I was like, I like this team. And obviously, I kept saying to everyone, I was like, please don't think that I've ever just gone, oh, Tom Brady's gone here, I'm going to go with him. I didn't know who anyone was. So when I was being told, like, Tom Brady's the guy, like, I'd heard his name, but obviously never looked into American football, really. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And then we won the Super Bowl, and I was like, God, this feels great. So it just continued from there, and, like, obviously I just loved keeping up to date with, like, the off-season and, like, free agency, like, now. And then it was like, oh, who's staying? Who's going to be extended? Who's leaving? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and I just continued to get into it. I was looking forward to when the season would start, looking at going to London games, which I didn't even know they did. So it was just like an eye-opener into this world that I never seen before, experienced. But then, like, once you're in it, you see, like, oh, like, that person's wearing a Packers jersey. That person's wearing a Falcons hat. Like, you just notice it everywhere then. Like, I'm in Tesco and I see it, I clock it every time. And I'm just like, wow, it's not just, like, an obscure thing. Like, loads of people around here, like it and enjoy it. Like, people in work, like, when I went in and I was saying, like, oh, I've got into NFL and everything. Oh, someone in work with me is actually a Carolina Panther fan. So I have fun with him.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was just like a simple Sunday, and it just so happened I was like, right, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch this, and I loved it. Like, it's not taken over my life, but in a way. But no, it brings me joy from like September till February.
Yes.
Unless they're in a certain game in February, then it's just depressing. But
yeah, well, do you know what? That's really strange, because I'm going to echo what you said, because weirdly that was our family, that was our holiday destination as well, was Orlando, and that's how I got involved with the Dolphins, because I was, back in the 90s, that was the end of the Dan Marino era, and he, and I was just, hearing all about him, and like you said, although Orlando's in the central Florida, you're kind of like a few hundred miles, well, at least north of Miami as well, but it was just kind of like that era. Everyone was talking, even in the airport you would spot a sport, you were coming out of the gate, and as long, you've got these donut, coffee shops, and then you had a sports store, and then I saw Dan Marino shirts and everything Miami Dolphins, and it was Florida Gators and things, and I'm sure that happened to you as well with the Bucks. So that's really strange, that kind of like we've had a similar kind of experience of going to Orlando, going to Disney and things like that, and maybe getting kind of sucked into the world of NFL by there. So I'm not gonna tell that you jumped on the bandwagon then of when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. To be fair, you didn't know who won Tom Brady was, but that's amazing.
That's the only great thing that person gave me anyway.
Oh, that's brilliant. So how then did you build a relationship with the franchise, and tell us, how did you I just want to know, how did you become a flag bearer? Because that's got me excited, and I was like, oh, maybe I could be a flag bearer for the Dolphins and things like that. But I just understand that, I know, like, do you have to be involved with the team in any way? Was it like a competition that you want to explain? How did that happen?
Well, I'm not saying it's embarrassing, but it's just kind of, I look back at it and think, oh my God, like, that actually, like, happened, and I was probably pestering them, and they thought, oh, we'll give her a pity flag running opportunity. But, well, I can't even explain it. It was just the fact that I'm involved with Bucks UK, which is a fan group with the Bucks, obviously, and they have a brilliant relationship with the Buccaneers. They do so much for them, and like, they've got a great support system in the UK then via that group, and I've made amazing friends through that. Ones I even meet up with on a regular basis, like, or they've come down to Swansea or whatever. Like, that's amazing in itself, and I think you opened up to more things through there, because it was just like, oh, you just follow, like, I don't know, I'm not saying it's you follow the people that work there and whatever, but you just build more relationships. Like, I have amazing friendship now with one of the social media admins on the Buccaneers. Like, she is my lifelong friend now. She's going to be one of my friends for life. So I built a really good relationship after I was the flag runner. But anyway, I was literally, I think it was just one of those days where I was like, oh, I wonder what jobs are in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then one came up, and it was like flag runner, and I just tweeted saying, like, can I get a visa for this? And I was like, how does that work? And then I just kept, like, jokingly posting on Twitter, being like, oh, let me be a flag runner. Well, how would it look like if I was a flag runner, and like creating like an AI image of me flag running. And then I went to see a Bills game in Tottenham, and the flag runners were there, and I was filming them being like, this could be me. Like, it just, honestly, it just went on and on like that. And then I just remember one day, because I was going to Florida on my own for just over 10 nights, I think. And I had a seat booked for the game against the Panthers. And I was like, oh, I picked an amazing seat to sit and watch the game. I just kept pestering them on Twitter, like, jokingly, not like over the top. But like every now and again, I just did like a poll, and I was like, should the Bucks let me be a flag runner? Yes or yes. And then I remember I tweeted saying like, shall I pack my running shoes? Because I was mid-packing for my holiday. And then I remember that night I thought, I'm sure I've just seen a notification saying that they retweeted it. But then it disappeared. So then I was like, no, I've imagined that. Like, I imagined it. Like, I'm just, like, playing into my own dream. And then I was, like, Googling how to access old notifications. You can't do it. I was determined. I was like, I will see it. And then, like, the next day, I went into work. I cringe every time I think about it. I was in work. And I was talking to a colleague on the phone. And she was like, oh, I'll give you this, like, reference to something. I was like, okay. So I sat there and I just, like, so say I was on the work phone and my phone was, like, here. I just kind of swiped my phone up to see what notifications I had. And then I just had, like, a spam of Twitter notification or X notification. And then it was people telling me to wake up. And I was like, it's 3 p.m. I was like, what's going on? And I clicked on it. And I remember I dropped my work phone down and I looked around for everyone. I was like, oh my God. And they were like, what? I was like, I can't breathe. I was like, I was going to swear then. I was going to be like, oh my God. I was like, oh. Anyway, so I said, the Bucks have tweeted, this gets 1,000 likes, so let me be a flag runner.
I remember this. I'm getting flashbacks of this now, actually, as well. And I remember before that as well. When you tweeting like day 1 of asking to be a flag runner, day 2?
Yeah, I was just like
day 3, day 4. Because
like
I'm getting flashbacks of this, and I was in work, and then I just happened to go on Twitter, and then I could see your phone like exploding as well. So, wow! So she's actually done it. Wow, incredible.
Like, it doesn't feel real even to now. Like, it was so strange.
I'm getting goosebumps as you say this story. It's class.
It's happening now, but this was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, if this gets 1,000 likes, all about Bucks be a flag runner. And I was
if it helps, I contributed to that. So.
Oh.
A Falcons fan, remember, Christie? A Falcons fan helped you out.
I'm doing it for the Wales fans, that's what I'm doing.
And I just, like, all my colleagues in work there, they were loading it up on their phones, watching it, and I remember my supervisor at the time was like, you're on 700 now. And I was like, oh. I was like, I'm going to be sick. And within, like, 20, 30 minutes, it had gone over 1,000, and I was like, I had to message my manager and said, can I go home? Because I said, I sat in my car for 45 minutes in the car park because I couldn't drive home because I was so overwhelmed. And I was like, oh my God, because then the Bucks were going back to my old tweets and like replying to them. So like the poll where I said, should the Bucks let me be a flag runner? Yes or yes. They replied saying yes. Like, wow. They were going back to, because they always used to like my tweets, but never anything to do with being a flag runner.
Okay.
So then they went back and like liked all of them and was like replying to them and everything like that. So I think it was on like 3,000 then. Like, I think, like, now, if you look back, it's, like, 3,000. So I don't know when it hit that, but you know what I mean. So it was just, like, I remember coming home. I had a migraine, so I went to sleep. And then I woke up thinking, have I imagined that? And I looked at my phone, and they had DM'd me, like, to give them my email address and stuff. I was like, no, it's definitely happening. And I was like, oh my God, I have shin splints. I was like, how am I going to run? But it was fine.
Wow.
And obviously I didn't say I've got shin splints. Yeah. I was just like, oh, I'm going to do it even if my leg was hanging off. Yeah. I thought, it doesn't matter. So I remember like the following night then I went for a run because I was like, right, okay. Like, I used to go running all the time anyway, but I was just like, right, Christie, get a grip now. I was like, go run. You don't know how much they're going to score. You don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, and I just, honestly, I think from there, like, they emailed me up until I got there. And I had, so basically, because I was staying in Orlando, and I was on my own, I had to get an Uber from Orlando to Tampa.
Wow.
$70 though. I didn't think that was that expensive.
Fair. That's really good.
Yeah. So I stayed in a hotel there, and I had a tour of One Buck Place with one of the social media people, and he took me around all the facilities where they train, where they do their press conference and everything like that. So I had like a private tour. Then I got taken from there. I had a goodie bag as well, and then I got taken from there on like a golf buggy to Raymond James, and then I met all the other flag runners, and honestly I still like I've had them on Instagram and stuff, and I still talk to them to this day. And if I've gone to a game in the past, I've messaged, like the last two I've been to, I was like, I'm here, and they've come and found me.
Oh wow.
But yeah, they were all so lovely, and I just did everything that they did. So it was like I did the parade before the game, and I was just on like this pirate ship, just chucking out beads and everything, like to everyone in the tailgates and stuff. And then went back there, and then I just remember it was just a whirlwind. Like, when I really think back to it, I'm like, wow. Lucky I took calms that day. Because I remember when I got home, I was like, back to the hotel, I was like, I just remember I cried, and I had a pounding headache come in, like, instantly. And I was like, oh my god.
That just happened.
I know, it was crazy. And then they said that I could wear my Mike Evans jersey, of course. And I could lead the team out with the little flag. And I saw Captain Fear and like the pirates ran. I think Captain Fear went first, and then I went, and like along with the other pirates. And then literally there's a clip, because this was the only thing my parents could see, if someone was filming the Bucks run out, because it wasn't like, they don't really show up close, and it wasn't on Sky, it was only on the Zone. So my mum was like, oh, these like media people was like actually posted anything. And then literally behind me is two other flag runners, and like Baker Mayfield and like the whole team. And I just remember running across the field, and then the manager of the flag runners was like, come off here. And I was like, I don't know if I've gone too far or what I've done. I just kept going.
Nice.
And then I had to go get changed, and then I was like the flag runners, so I was just like chucking beads, t-shirts, doing the cannons to the crowd. Like, it was amazing. It was honestly, it was just
like, you know, I take it because you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm 26.
Like, literally, it sounds like a life moment at your early 20s. I mean, it just sounds absolutely incredible. And you know, the one thing that I think is different, or I think American sports, especially the NFL, does very, very well, is, from what you described there, is their involvement with the community, and the fact that they went out of their way to get a fan from Wales, from the UK, and to give you that experience as well. I just love that the NFL and you know, the franchises, the community, like you said, it's so strong, and they would even they would think, and they appreciate overseas fans like us as well.
They really do. Like, I've met Brian Ford, who's like a big name in there. And I met him just before I ran out, because the girl I was with, she took me up to meet him because he was like by the tunnel. And he was like, oh my god, my flag's fallen. He was like, oh my god, I've been waiting to meet you. And he gave me a massive touch. And I was going to say squeeze, but I was like, oh, we're all Welsh here, you'll know what I mean. Yeah. He gave me a massive touch, and he gave me a pin as well, but he was just like, I've been waiting to meet you, and I was like, ah. And then, yeah, honestly, with Bucks UK especially, like they did the 40th trip last year, and the Bucks, oh my god, it was incredible. I wasn't meant to go on that trip because I was meant to go earlier on in September, but then I had to change my holiday, so it actually happened that I got there the start of their Tampa trip, so I could go to that game. So the Bucks, like, they organised a meal in their stadium for the whole, like, group that had gone. All the screens in the stadium said Happy 40th Bucks UK. Like, oh my god, it was amazing. They had special guests. Like, it was, I'm sure it was Derek Brooks. They had, like, oh my god, it was amazing. And then, like, we even met, like, the Glazers after the game on the Sunday. Like, it was, like, I couldn't get over that this had all happened because of a UK fan group, if you know what I mean. But they are, honestly, they are amazing. Absolutely amazing to us.
Gosh. Wow. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's although it's such an unusual story, it's just so inspiring, and it's kind of like, it just something like, it just gives me the buzz. It just gives me kind of like, the hope that, you know, that one day potentially, because, you know, like I said, my dream is I'm a sports correspondent here, and I'm a commentator in Wales, and I've always wanted to kind of somehow get involved with the NFL in one way or another, either in the UK or in the US and things like that. And like you said, that's just, yeah, that's given me all the feels. Fantastic. Christie, should we move on to talk about this free agency for the Bucks? So I guess the main news for the Buccaneers, I suppose, surely, is that you've managed to re-sign Chris Godwin.
Yes. And
Levante David as well, yeah.
I wasn't ready for the last season to be his final season, so that's why I'm like, fingers crossed this year we'll be champions again.
Yeah. Have you re-signed? You've re-signed Shaq Barrett as well, haven't you?
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, I thought you had, because I was just telling Gito the story of Shaq Barrett last year. So he signed a one-year deal. I know, it's crazy. He signed a one-year deal with the Dolphins. Then before training camp, he retired. Then towards the end of the season, he came out of retirement and he said that he wanted to play, but he was only going to play for the Bucks. He didn't want to play for any other franchise. Yeah.
And they him or something.
So the Dolphins had to release him. But he ended up actually playing for you in the playoffs last year?
I remember being like, welcome back, Shaq, and whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if he signed the new deal now. I'll actually Google it.
Oh, I might be. I might have dreamed that scenario as well.
I know I have notifications on for like the news outlets of NFL, and then I just get spammed with.
Maybe it's my. It's my romantic side thinking that everyone has rejoined the party, but there we are. But one person that won't be joining you, Christie, is obviously your former offensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what went down there? So obviously we covered this probably a month ago when the coaching carousel was going on. So basically Liam Cohen is now the head coach of the Jaguars, like we were saying. He was having a lot of interest from head coaching from other GMs and franchises around the NFL. He re-signed with the Bucks to be the OC, and he was going to be the highest paid. You're right, highest paid coordinator in the NFL. And then all of a sudden we hear that he's revealed that he's going to be head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Have you heard anything more about what happened there?
I have absolutely. I just remember those few days on Twitter being chaos because it was like he hasn't turned up to a meeting to sign the contract with the Bucks. He's told so-and-so that someone's ill, but he's actually on a plane to Jacksonville. And it was just like, sorry? I was like, I get that, it's a competitive, business deal, really, isn't it? It's just they're all about, I wouldn't say they're all about the money, but I think realistically, are you going to want to be an offensive head coach or offensive coach or a head coach of like a whole team? Like, it's the same with Dave Canals. Like when he left, he was just like, oh, he 1 year in, perfect OC, but then when they're perfect, or you know, more or less, they're gonna get scouted to be the head coach then, because there's always a team that needs head coaches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like halfway through the season and it's like, oh, they've parted ways, and then you think, please don't come after ours. But I really don't know. I don't know what you never know what the behind the scenes is. Obviously he's been painted to look like the bad guy in it all, really. Whereas you don't know. Like, nobody really knows. If you were just looking at it in black and white, he looks sneaky.
Yeah.
But and it is disappointing, because I just know that, like, Baker always spoke so highly of him. Everyone really spoke highly of him, but he spoke highly of them as well, and I don't think he's ever gone back on that.
Yeah.
But although the way he says Duval is a bit questionable, that's the only thing
I actually agree with that. I've seen that clip, and it's
that's
he needs a bit more. He needs
it's
a bit more
not quite
practice
go
than that,
back.
doesn't he? Speaking of Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously Louis Rees-Zammit is a part of the team. What was your initial reaction? I was in work and I jumped out of my seat when I found out he wanted to play. What was your reaction to that?
What was so weird is that so many people told me, like in work, they were like, "Did you know?" Like, there's like someone in work with me, and he's just older than me, so he was like, "Did you see that Louis Rees-Zammit is signed for the Chiefs?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "He is, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is, man." And then he was just going off, but then he just talks about rugby because he doesn't understand the But he was, everyone just seemed to be like, oh my God, like, I can't believe he's just gone. Because I think he just released, like, who else did he play for? Was it?
Gloucester.
Bristol, yeah.
Gloucester, yeah.
I remember, like, an announcement being on my Twitter, and I was like, that's weird. But someone had said to me previously, oh, I wonder if he'd ever be scouted for the NFL because of how fast he is and how, you know. And I never really thought it would happen. But for someone to be Welsh, like, can you imagine on the sideline, they're all strong, thick American accents, and then there's someone just like, Shemai.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's mind-blowing, but I do think good on him, and I hope that he actually gets to play.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing him on the sideline when I went to the Jags game in Wembley in October. But I was just like, oh, I wish he was playing, because I bet he'd get such a good reception.
Yeah. He would just give him just one play. It would have been
just something.
It would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just something. And then he has that then, doesn't he? So, you know, it's mind-boggling. But it's amazing. It is incredible.
I think I told Gifto this, just the fact, you know, even when you see the videos of either when he was participating with the Chiefs in the preseason, or just if you see a video of him, just the fact that you see the red dragon on the back of his helmet, it is literally, it's insane, isn't it? Like you said, it's just it's like, oh wow, this is actually happening. And like you said, you know, all of our dreams is obviously is to see a Welshman, is to see Lewis in a regular game. I know we've been trying to kind of pull back the reins, because another thing I wanted to point to Christie, because obviously I work in the Welsh media here, and I was asked initially, and me and Gito talked about this when he was first signed, and especially when he was released with the Chiefs last summer. I just felt like there was just a massive wave of negativity like came over. I just feel like the Welsh and especially the British media need to take a chill pill, because ultimately the problem is they don't really understand how the NFL works, and it really pushes my buttons because, for instance, I've told Gitta this. I was asked on live radio on Welsh radio, the fact that he was released by the Chiefs. Will he look back in 5 or 10 years' time and see his time in the US and his venture to the NFL as a failure? I was like, my God, he hasn't been
from one team and
exactly
then came over.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's wild, isn't it?
Everyone who's ever been released.
Exactly.
No, I don't know. It was just like, oh, he's failed. Like, he'll come back to the WRU. Like, we'll see him play in the Six Nations and all that rubbish. And it's like, that's not really how it works. He's gonna be scouted, whether he's on a practice squad or not. But it's not just game over until, well, you know if it's game over. He was young, fresh and fit in the NFL. There'd be no reason that he couldn't get on a, practice squad, even the main roster. But no, I don't get why he's so negative about it. I'm not going to know him, but you know what I mean.
And listen, to everyone else that's listening as well, let's be honest, is Welsh rugby and Welsh regional rugby the best place for Lewis Rizama to be at the moment?
No. It was, oh God, no.
Let's not talk about the weekend. The less the better.
That was crazy.
Dear gosh. Anyway, my God. Christie, what are your hopes for the 2025 season, the Bucks? I was just back to Baker Mayfield just quickly. I was going to say, interesting to hear the connection between Liam Cohen and Baker Mayfield, because let's be honest, these last 2 years have been Baker's best years in the NFL since he was the number one overall pick. I know he got Cleveland. He won a playoff game with Cleveland, but what he's achieved over the last 2 years. I think he was comeback player of the year. The fact that he bounced around, he went to the Panthers, then he went to the Rams for a while, and now he seems to have found a home in Tampa.
Yeah, no, I think he's got the right people around him, and I think that's what I needed. But like, what I love about Baker is that he'll try anything. Like, you think, like, my dad now watches the Bucks with me. Like, we went to Munich and everything, and he's got back into it. He used to watch it when he was younger, but he never specifically had a team, if you know what I mean. He just used to enjoy watching it. But so we watched it together. He's literally shouting at the screen. He's like, just throw it. He's like, just throw the ball. And I'm like, he's thinking. And he's like, well, he needs to stop thinking. But
he's going through his reads. Yeah.
I know. And my dad's just like, just throw it. And I'm like, he obviously didn't think it was the right thing to do. Because I love Baker Mayfield. And I just think he tries so hard and he does so well with it all. Like, I do think he's like a tough guy. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but he's not afraid of, like, stiff arming someone to block. Yeah. Like, he's I'd be really, really good to watch him in the next season.
Yeah, he's in good hands as well, isn't he? Obviously, you've got.
Oh God, yeah.
You've re-signed Chris Godwin and obviously Mike Evans. To me, he's a top 5 wide receiver in the league.
He's my number one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he's in good hands.
Yeah. Well, Mike Evans knows what Swans. He doesn't know what Swansea is.
Isn't that your profile picture on Twitter?
Yeah. When I met him, that was also. I'm not bringing that up to be like, I met Mike Evans, but I told him because, so I went to his bowling event, like a charity event, and my friend Jill was there, who does the social media, and she came up to me and she was like, this is so-and-so, introduced me. I was like, oh, hello, nice to meet you. And then she went, I'm gonna introduce you to Mike. And I was like, sorry? I was like, no. I said, I'm gonna be sick. I was like, please don't do it. But I was like, also, yes, is my hair okay? It was all kind of like that. And so she took me over to meet him, and she obviously spoke to him before he came to me, and he went, Wales! And I was like, you're so tall.
Yeah, he's tall, isn't he?
Yeah. Honestly, that was the only thing that could come out my mouth. It was like, you're so tall. And then I obviously met him and whatever, but he came, and whatever. He came over to each lane then, and so he came to the lane I was still in. He said to me and my dad, he was like, did you really come from Wales? And I was like, yes. I was like, yes, I did.
Wow.
And he was like, wow, that's amazing. And I was like, oh my God, yes, it is. But, yeah, no, he's so lovely. He's so lovely. Like, you would never, ever call him, like, a prima donna or anything like that. He's so genuine. The way he walked up to our lane was just like we all knew him. Like, it was weird. Like, I was just like, oh, there he is.
Yeah. Like you said, yeah, he does come across as a humble guy, to be fair, because
oh my gosh, yeah, he's so
I think
lovely.
because I don't think people realise. Like, it's interesting that Gito says that he thinks he's a top 5 wide receiver in the league. You know, his record that he has, is it the fact that he's the only wide receiver in NFL history to have at least 1,000 yards in every single season?
No, he's tied.
He's
think.
tied.
Yeah, tied. So
it's
I
11
think,
seasons, isn't it? He's done 11 seasons in a row, hasn't he?
yeah, 11 seasons of 1,000 yards. But I think if he did 1,000 yards this season, he'd be the top.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. But I know I'm convinced. I'm 99.9% sure it's tied.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's literally insane. But I remember watching that play of where he got over his 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And it was just that they basically just give it to him. And it was almost like Saints let it happen.
He only needed about 5 yards, didn't he, really?
Yeah, that was
I remember that last final game, it was you know, they needed to win, but we needed to win as well. So, but then watching Mike Evans do that, I was like, that's the perfect way to end a season, isn't it? To get his bonus as well, and obviously make the playoffs. I was disappointed, but you know, in a neutral side, watching Mike Evans do that was pretty special. Yeah, to be honest.
It was like emotional. Like, I remember, it was just like, I was like, why do I want to cry?
I believe it was the final play as well of the whole game. It was.
No, because I just remember I just walked out then, and I was just like, that was like aura.
Yeah.
Just like everyone was going mental. Everyone ran up to him. Like, it was just like, I just remember watching it downstairs, and I was like, oh my God, if I was there, I'd be sobbing. I was close, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah, it just shows, well, ultimately, you know, it just shows the respect that the players have for him and his craft and everything like that. Honestly, Christie, this has been an absolute blast. I have to say, thank you so much once again. This has been absolutely amazing. We'll have to have you back because we definitely, and I think I echo this from Gito, we need more fans like you in Wales, because you know, the fan that isn't afraid to you know, to keep in contact with the franchise over in America, and to build a brand over here as well. So thank you for what you're doing. You know,
it's amazing, honestly.
I
love your Twitter page. I love it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I love going through and seeing your tweets. It's amazing. It's real close. It's close.
Thank you. I'm blushing now.
Before my last question, Christie, remind us, what is your Twitter handle so everyone can check you out?
At AllAboutBucs.
Oh, fantastic. So my last question for myself, anyway, is what do you think the Bucs need to do in order to kind of compete in the NFC next year? Because obviously, you know, even though it seems like the Eagles are just kind of getting rid of half of their defense at the moment, literally, what do they need to, you know, what are the areas you think you need to target maybe in the draft? Or do you think kind of like, because, you know, well, going back to your Super Bowl win, in 2021. I remember, obviously you had Brady, you had Gronk, you had Mike Evans, Godwin, and all those, Leonard Fournette, and all those. But ultimately, I thought, that it was a ferocious defense, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was insane.
I think in the new season now, I just pray that there's not as many injuries because it just oh my God. I remember when Anton Winfield was out for a number of games, the difference that makes is insane. I think our offense was incredible last year. I do think our defense as well, but it wasn't it was never going to be anything like our 2020 defense.
Yeah.
The injuries that were coming from last season, well, the last couple of seasons in every team have been insane and scary. Yeah. Anytime Baker risks something, I'm please don't do that. And you saw Mike Evans out for multiple games. Chris Godwin had a season-ending injury. I can't go through that again.
Do you know what, Christie, just quickly, I feel your pain because I can guarantee you now the whole Miami Dolphins community holds its breath when Tua runs at a defender.
No more concussions. No more, I can't be healthy.
Yeah.
Not at all. No, I think there's so many teams that have gone like that. Can you imagine being a Jets fan when Aaron Rodgers on the field for 2 minutes? You would have been sobbing, but no.
As a Dolphins fan, I wasn't sobbing as much, but yeah, I get.
Yeah, no, I was, but it was just oh wow, that's over quickly.
Yeah.
I just remember reading it. He lasted about 74 seconds on his first game. His fourth drive or something. But
it was the build up to it, him running out.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And his highlights, and it was just that.
Yeah. He got sacked on his first play, and then the second play he snapped his Achilles tendon. So Achilles tendon. So it was like you said, the Jets that year was being hyped up so much, and it just seems like the Jets is always kind of being hyped. And I know we were just talking about, we've just had our free agency frenzy. We did that end of last week, and we tried to cover as much as we could anyway. And it's going to be different, obviously it's a massive rebuild for them, new head coach, new GM, and ultimately a new quarterback. So Justin Fields, so that's going to be a hell of a ride for them, for Jets fans as well. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
amazing. Oh, fantastic. Gito, do you have anything else before we let Christie go?
I'm going to end on one question. We've asked this to a Saints fan, and I didn't like his answer, so I'm hoping a Bucks fan will have a better answer. So, what do you think of the chances we might see an NFL game in Wales?
Oh, yes.
I didn't like the Saints answer, so I'm hoping
I can't understand why they wouldn't see, because it's such a good stadium. I do not understand why they wouldn't. They're going to do it in Wembley and Tottenham. I'm going to be biased. I want it to be here because it's easier for me to get to. But yeah, oh my God, I'd love that. Absolutely love. Well, I think maybe with the influence of Lewis Rees-Zammit, maybe it will bring more media attention to Wales with NFL, as you said earlier. But that would be, oh my God, I'd be in my element.
That's the dream.
Everyone come to Wales. Not venture off on the tubes to Tottenham.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, just what Kenan said, who was a Saints fan, by the way, his answer was, well, whilst he's with the Jaguars, who are tied obviously to either Tottenham or London, he's going to be based there, isn't he? So I completely understand his point.
Yeah. Again, another team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the dream.
Exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, amazing. Oh, fantastic. Well, Christie, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, it's been absolutely brilliant, and it's been fascinating. And we had to bring you on as well, just to remind you that you support the second best team in Florida as well. I just had to put that out there as well. I wish
Yes, well, okay, I'll leave you on that happy note.
Christie, honestly, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching as well. Like I said, follow Christie on Twitter or X. It's very amusing. It's fantastic. It's a great watch. We will be back before the end of the week, Gito, just before the Wales game. We're going to meet up on the weekend, and we are going to round up some news, because obviously we're going to have to talk about what the Cincinnati Bengals have been up to over the last couple of days. And I don't know how they've been able to manage it, but somehow they've been able to give a massive contract to not one but two of their wide receivers. So we'll talk about that in the next episode. Christie, thank you so much again. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Gito, thank you as always. And Christie will definitely get you back on the pod very, very soon. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you very much.
Nos da, diolch.